Okay, so you said that Sony has a new PS5 leak. What's going on there?
It's funny because Sony seems to be the leaky ship of 2019.
Yeah,
Because
I feel like every podcast we're talking a little bit more about the PS5, right?
yeah, I think they're doing it on purpose, right? So last fall it was all about the Pixel 3, right? Oh, the Pixel 3 is leaking all over the place, and that was our leaky ship. And now here we are, and it's the PS5. So the first leak that we got was all about how fast it was going to be, and look how fast it's going to load. It's going to load 10 times faster than the PS4 Pro, and that was the leak. And then we also had another leak that talked about the GPU is going to have ray tracing. And
Really?
everybody
Oh, that's
felt,
right. That's insane.
yeah, actually that might have been the first leak. But anyways, it's been slowly, all these leaks are happening, and sometimes the leaks come in the form of an interview. So it was like the producer of the PS5, he was being interviewed by Wired, and he just started dropping bombs like, oh yeah, it's gonna have ray tracing and it's gonna load 10 times faster, right? So there's those type of leaks, and then there's leaks that come through people who are working at the company, or people who know people who know people. So those are a little bit less likely. But apparently, this last leak, which gives us more information and confirms a lot that we already know, seems pretty legit. So the big news now is it's going to be backwards compatible, and we all think that's important anyways, right? If
Well,
you've
I mean, it's
invested,
got such a big library
yeah,
for the PS4, right?
and that's a huge source of its income, right? All these PlayStation specific titles that are coming out, and they make a lot of money, especially selling it through their Sony store. Big bucks. In fact, part of this leak is a bit of their strategy. So people are jumping to conclusions, and I think they're right. It looks like Sony will take a hit on every PS5 as far as money goes that they
Right.
sell. So they will be selling it for cheaper than it costs to make it. Now, this is pretty typical in a product cycle, especially when you're in the technology product cycles. You take a hit at the beginning, but then as components drop in price, you start making money. And then at the end of the product cycle, you've actually made quite a bit of money. So it's a pretty good thing to do, is to give you bang for buck. So a good example of that bang for buck is a GPU with ray tracing. If you
It's
want a
insane. I
GPU
mean,
with
it's
ray
hundreds
tracing,
of dollars. Yeah.
we're talking almost thousands, right? Like I think the cheapest GPU with ray tracing is about $750 US right
Sure.
now. And
Sure.
so if you're going to sell a PS5, I mean, what's the PS4 Pro going for right now? Like $399?
Yeah.
So you're not going to step it up to $750 or more just to
No.
cover the GPU. And then on top of that, you're going to have everything else that comes with the PlayStation. So other leaks we've had in the past is like the next gen of VR, and it was supposed to be wireless and you'd be able to walk around. So that's another leak if that comes out to be true. So, other things that we've heard is it's going to have 3D audio. So I'm not sure
Cool.
what that is, like fully immersive sound, hear it all around you. I mean, this is surround sound. So I don't know why that's such a big deal. And then another one of the leaks that we got is that there will be no hard drives on this as far
Yes. Thank
as magnetic,
goodness.
all SSD. Now, anybody who's into heavy gaming on their computers, you really don't want to be running the games off of a hard drive. You want them running off an SSD. You can use the hard drive to sort of keep all your storage, but you really want it running off the SSD, and it's super fast. And that could be pointing to how they can load these games
10
10
times
times
faster.
faster,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Um, Another thing that came out is they're going to focus on streaming. Now, Dan, I don't know if you saw any articles last week on it, but Sony had a big deal with Microsoft last week, and it was all about using their servers for streaming. Did you hear about that?
Mm-mm. Update
So
me.
it, right now, Sony already has, I believe, with their Vita and a few of their other programs, Vita may not be supported anymore, but they've been working on streaming for years. But they just haven't been able to have very high enough quality to get people to jump to it. So that's why on a handheld device, the streaming works, because you don't have to send the same specs that you
Right.
would on a high definition gaming system. And so with their deal with Microsoft Google, and Amazon are the three companies in this world that have the horsepower that could pull off streaming. And the other thing with streaming games is each one of your centers with all these servers, they have to be close to you because latency is the biggest issue, the biggest problem that you have to slay here. And so the closer you are to that node, the less latency you're going to have. And the only three companies that have that kind of horsepower is Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. And so this deal with Sony to hook up with Microsoft and use their servers is a big one. And so Microsoft is going to make big, big, big bucks off of Sony on this, even though they compete with the Xbox, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Sony's going to make big bucks because this PS5 doesn't necessarily need to have the best specifications, even though all these leaks say it's going to be amazing. But I think the future, they realize, is going to be streaming. So they sent out this amazing box that in next year, say 2019 or 2020, is going to be amazing. But by the time it hits the end of its product life cycle, I think they're going to be focused entirely on streaming.
I
So
hope
you
so.
won't want to upgrade. You'll just keep using their system, and then you're going to be paying monthly for it, right?
Well,
So
it's interesting how much the cloud is making Microsoft. I mean, it just seemed like this dying company for the longest time. Ever since the iPod came out, I just felt like there goes Microsoft. Nobody cares about it anymore.
yeah,
And, the stock took a dive for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it started coming back. And it actually caught up to Apple. And I was thinking, why? What's
yeah.
going on? And it's because they have these cloud servers and they actually lease them out to companies, to Netflix, to all these different places to stream. And like you were saying, they've got nodes everywhere. And that's what's making Microsoft so much money right now. And I think if you're a big player in the game like Sony, I think it's smart to start your own cloud business. I mean, if they're so successful with Microsoft, maybe not only they're going to use those cloud servers to stream games, but maybe they'll lease them out to other companies and make a ton of money off of it.
Yeah, well, I guess it's the same as any business. You got to know what you're good at, and if you can get it cheaper from somebody else than it would cost you to build it from the ground up, you might as well go there. And I think that's what Sony's doing. I'm not saying they're not going to get into it on their own, but it's definitely a very interesting partnership that they've made with Microsoft. And it also looks like we might finally get that gaming where PlayStation people, gamers, and Xbox gamers will be able to play together.
That'd be
Wouldn't that
cool.
be a wonderful world, Dan?
Yes. Hands across America.